I hate you. You're not our real mom. Emma's words echoed through the house as she slammed her bedroom door. Her twin brother Ethan stood in the hallway, his expression cold and distant. Don't ever talk to us again, he added before disappearing into his room. I stood there, frozen, my heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. My name is Olivia Turner, and at 42, I just watched my own children, my precious twins, turn against me because of a carefully crafted lie. It started 3 weeks ago when my sister-in-law, Diana, moved in with us temporarily after her divorce. She'd always resented me, but I never imagined she'd go this far. While I was away at a teacher's conference, she told my 16-year-old twins a story about their real mother, a woman she claimed I had forced out of their lives when they were just babies. Your real mom loved you so much, she told them, spinning a tale of how I had supposedly swooped in during their parents' rough patch, stolen their father's heart, and driven their birth mother away. Olivia made sure she could never contact you again. I found out what she'd done when I returned home to find my children's photos of me turned face down, their doors locked, and their eyes filled with hatred. My husband James was away on a business trip, and Diana had perfectly timed her poison. Now, sitting in my home office surrounded by 16 years of memories, first steps, birthday parties, school plays, I felt the weight of their rejection crushing me. On my desk sat the twins' baby album, filled with photos of my pregnancy, their birth, every precious moment. But Diana had convinced them these were all elaborate lies. They were too young to remember, she told them. Olivia's been pretending all along. Why do you think there are no photos of you as newborns with her in the hospital? Of course there weren't. I'd been in a coma for 2 weeks after a complicated cesarean. James had taken photos, but I wasn't in them because I was fighting for my life. It was a detail I'd never shared with the twins, not wanting them to carry that burden. My phone buzzed. Another message from Diana. They deserve to know the truth about their real mother. The irony of her words would have been laughable if it hadn't hurt so much. I am their real mother. Every stretch mark, every sleepless night, every moment of their lives was etched into my heart. But Diana had twisted everything, using the gaps in their childhood memories to plant seeds of doubt. I opened my laptop, staring at the draft email I'd written to James. How do you tell your husband that his sister has destroyed your relationship with your children? That she's used her position as their beloved aunt to tear apart our family? The sounds of the twins moving around upstairs made my heart ache. Just last week, Emma had crawled into my bed during a thunderstorm, seeking comfort like she had since she was little. Now she wouldn't even look at me. Diana's voice drifted down from upstairs, consoling them. I know it's hard, but you deserve to know. Your real mom would be so proud of you both. I closed my eyes, remembering the day they were born, the complications that had nearly taken all 3 of us. The moment I finally got to hold them after waking from the coma. James had placed them in my arms, tears streaming down his face, telling me how strong I was, how he'd almost lost us all. A knock at my office door startled me. It was Ethan, his face a mask of anger. We found Mom's letters, he said, throwing a handful of papers on my desk. The ones you hid from us. My hands trembled as I picked up the papers. They were letters all right, but I'd never seen them before. The handwriting was unfamiliar, the dates impossible. They were supposedly written when I was still in the hospital, unconscious. Diana found them in the attic, he continued, his voice cold. She says you've been hiding them all these years. I examined the letters more closely, my blood running cold. These weren't just fake. They were an elaborate deception. Diana had gone to extraordinary lengths to create this fiction, right down to the weathered paper and faded ink. Ethan, I started, but he cut me off. Save it. We know everything now. How you made her leave. How you've been lying to us our whole lives. We're going to find her, our real mom, and there's nothing you can do about it. As he stormed out, I heard Diana's satisfied sigh from the hallway. She'd orchestrated this perfectly, taking advantage of teenage vulnerability and family trust to tear my world apart. I picked up my phone again, this time dialing Dr. Sarah Matthews, the obstetrician who had saved our lives 16 years ago. If Diana wanted to play with fire, she was about to learn that some truths can't be buried, no matter how elaborate the lies. Sarah, it's Olivia Turner. I need your help. It's about the twins, and the day they were born. The next few days would change everything, but not in the way Diana expected. She thought she'd destroyed me, but she'd forgotten one crucial detail. A mother's love isn't just about biology. It's about every moment, every sacrifice, every breath, and I had 16 years of truth on my side. As I hung up the phone, I heard the twins laughing upstairs with Diana, their voices carrying through the house that suddenly felt foreign. But I wasn't going to let her win. The truth would come out, and when it did, Diana would learn that some bonds can't be broken by lies, no matter how convincing they might seem. The graduation ceremony was in 3 months. Diana didn't know it yet, but she had just set in motion a series of events that would expose not just her lies, but the depths of her own deception. And I would be there, standing at the podium as the guest of honor, ready to tell a story she never saw coming. The weeks following Diana's revelation were a blur of silent dinners and closed doors. James had finally returned from his business trip, but even he seemed unsure how to handle the situation. Diana had played her cards well, showing him the forged letters and playing on his protective instincts. "Maybe we should tell them everything," he suggested one night, his voice heavy with concern. About the complications, the coma. I shook my head, clutching the manila envelope Dr. Matthews had sent over. "Not yet. Diana needs to understand what she's done first." Inside that envelope lay the truth: medical records, birth certificates, photographs from the hospital security cameras showing Diana's absence during those critical 2 weeks. She hadn't even visited when her own brother was falling apart, worried he might lose both his wife and newborn children. The twins' graduation ceremony was approaching, and as the head of the English department at their high school, I was scheduled to give a speech. Diana didn't know this. She'd been too busy poisoning my children's minds to pay attention to school announcements. One afternoon, I found Emma in the attic, going through old boxes. She stiffened when she saw me but didn't leave. Progress, however small. "What are you looking for?" I asked softly. "More letters," she replied, not meeting my eyes. "Aunt Diana says there must be more." I watched her dig through memories of her childhood. Handmade Mother's Day cards, school projects, family photos. Each item told our story. But Diana had made her doubt even these tangible pieces of our life together. "You know," I said, sitting on an old trunk, "your first word was mama. You said it in the middle of the night when you had a fever. Ethan said it the next morning, not wanting to be outdone by his sister." Emma paused, her hand hovering over a baby book. For a moment, I saw confusion flicker across her face. These were memories Diana couldn't explain away, moments too personal, too real to be fabricated. That's not true," she stammered, but I could hear the uncertainty in her voice. "The scar on your left knee? You got it climbing the apple tree in Grandma's backyard. You were trying to rescue a cat that didn't actually need rescuing. I carried you to the emergency room while you apologized for ruining your new dress." Emma's hand unconsciously went to her knee. These weren't facts Diana would know, couldn't know. She hadn't been part of our lives then, too busy with her own failed marriages and dramatic exits. The next day, I found a note under my office door, in Ethan's handwriting. "If you're really our mom, why didn't you fight harder when we were babies?" My heart ached. Diana's story had created a wound that only the truth could heal, but timing was everything. Dr. Matthews had warned me about dropping too many revelations at once. Let them start questioning on their own, she'd advised. Diana, meanwhile, was getting bolder. She started inviting friends over, speaking loudly about the poor children and their tragic story. Each word was carefully chosen to cement her narrative, but she'd made one crucial mistake. One of her friends was a nurse at the same hospital where the twins were born. "Diana?" I overheard the friend say one afternoon. "I don't remember you ever visiting when the twins were born. Weren't you in Europe with your second husband?" The silence that followed was deafening. Diana quickly changed the subject, but the damage was done. Small cracks were beginning to appear in her carefully constructed facade. 2 weeks before graduation, I was preparing my speech when Ethan appeared in my office doorway. He looked troubled, clutching something in his hand. "I found this," he said, placing a worn hospital bracelet on my desk. "It has your name on it, same day we were born." I picked up the bracelet, memories flooding back. I'd worn it for those 2 weeks in the coma, James refusing to let the nurses remove it even after they said I might not wake up. "There's something else," Ethan continued, his voice uncertain. "I asked Grandma about the letters Aunt Diana found. She said Diana wasn't even in the country when we were born." The truth was starting to unravel Diana's lies, thread by thread. But she wasn't going down without a fight. That evening, she announced at dinner that she'd hired a private investigator to find their real mother. James nearly choked on his food, looking at me with panic in his eyes. I simply smiled. "That's interesting," I said calmly. "I look forward to seeing what they find." Diana's confident smile faltered slightly. She hadn't expected this reaction. Later that night, I heard the twins whispering in Emma's room. "But why isn't she upset?" Emma asked. "If she really stole us, wouldn't she be trying to stop us?" "Maybe," Ethan replied. "We don't have the whole story." Diana had underestimated the intelligence of my children. They were starting to see the holes in her story, questioning the inconsistencies she couldn't explain. The next morning, I left a photo album on the kitchen table, not the usual family photos, but medical pictures from the day of their birth. Me, unconscious in the hospital bed. James, holding their tiny hands through the incubator windows. The dates clearly visible on every image. When Diana came down for breakfast and saw the album, she went pale. She grabbed it, trying to hide it before the twins could see. But she was too late. They had already been looking through it when she came in. "Aunt Diana," Emma said, her voice shaking, "why are you in Europe in your Facebook memories from when we were born if you were there with our real mom?" The graduation ceremony was 3 days away. Diana's lies were unraveling faster than she could spin new ones, and soon she would have nowhere left to hide. I sealed the final envelope containing my graduation speech, knowing that the truth it contained would change everything. Diana thought she had written the ending to this story, but she was about to learn that some tales can only be told by those who live them. And I had lived every single moment, from the first heartbeat to the last lie. Graduation day arrived with a crisp morning breeze. The school auditorium buzzed with excitement as families filed in, finding their seats among the sea of proud parents and relatives. Diana sat with our family, her usual confident smile now tinged with nervousness as she watched me take my place at the podium. She hadn't seen the program until now. Her face paled when she read. Keynote speaker, Mrs. Olivia Turner, head of English department and recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award for Educational Excellence. The ceremony began with the usual proceedings, the principal's welcome, the valedictorian's speech. Then came the moment that would change everything. And now, the principal announced, "I'd like to invite Mrs. Turner to share a special message with our graduating class," particularly noting her unique perspective as both an educator and a parent of 2 of our graduating seniors. I approached the podium, my heart steady. The twins sat among their classmates, their expressions a mix of confusion and apprehension. Diana shifted uncomfortably in her seat. 16 years ago, I began. I lay in a hospital bed at St. Mary's, fighting for my life after giving birth to twins. A murmur rippled through the audience. The doctors had warned me about the risks of carrying twins at my age, but some things are worth fighting for. I pulled out the first photograph, the hospital security footage showing James rushing through the corridors. This was taken at 3:42 a.m., June 15, 2007. My husband had just been told he might lose all 3 of us. Diana's face had lost all color. In the graduate section, Emma and Ethan sat completely still, their eyes fixed on the screen behind me. For 2 weeks, I lay in a coma while my babies fought their own battles in the NICU. Their father never left the hospital, sleeping in chairs, praying for a miracle. And where was their aunt, who claims to know so much about their birth? I paused, letting the question hang in the air. According to her own social media posts, enjoying her honeymoon in Paris with husband number 2. The next slide showed Diana's Facebook memories, the ones she'd forgotten to delete. Her in front of the Eiffel Tower, dated exactly when she claimed to be witnessing this supposed tragedy unfold. The truth about family isn't just in DNA or birth certificates. It's in the smallest moments, the first words, the scraped knees, the thunderstorm comfort sessions. It's in knowing that your daughter is allergic to strawberries but loves strawberry-scented shampoo. It's in remembering that your son sleeps with his left sock on inside out because he thinks it brings him luck during tests. Tears were flowing freely now, not just mine, but Emma's and Ethan's too. Diana started to stand, but James firmly pulled her back down. "To my children," I continued, my voice strong, "I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the coma. About how close we came to losing each other before we even had a chance to begin. I wanted to protect you from that fear. But I'm not sorry for a single moment we shared since then, because every one of those moments is real, true, and ours." I pulled out the final piece of evidence, the DNA test results Diana's private investigator had secretly sent to my email yesterday, along with an apology for being part of her scheme. And to those who think they can rewrite history with forged letters and invented memories, remember this: the truth has a way of revealing itself. Always. The auditorium erupted in applause as I finished. Through tear-filled eyes, I saw my children rising from their seats, breaking protocol to run toward the stage. They crashed into me with such force that we almost fell, their arms wrapping around me in a desperate embrace. "Mom," Emma sobbed into my shoulder, "we're so sorry. We should have known. We should have trusted you," Ethan added, his voice thick with emotion. Over their shoulders, I watched Diana slip out of the auditorium, her web of lies finally untangled. James joined our family hug, his eyes conveying both love and regret for ever doubting. Later that evening, as we celebrated at home, Emma brought out the letters Diana had planted. Without a word, she and Ethan tore them to pieces, letting go of the lies that had briefly poisoned our family. "How did you stay so calm?" Ethan asked as we sat together on the porch swing. "When we were so horrible to you." I smiled, pulling them both closer. "Because I knew the truth would win. Real love always does." The next day, we received a message from Diana. She was moving across the country, away from the mess she created. None of us tried to stop her. Some bridges, once burned, are better left as ashes. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Mom, can we still have pancakes for dinner like we used to? The ones with chocolate chips in the shape of smiley faces." I smiled, remembering all the Sunday nights spent making those pancakes, the kitchen filled with laughter and chocolate smudges. Another memory Diana could never fake, another thread in the tapestry of our real family story. Of course, I texted back. "Some traditions are forever." And that's the thing about truth. It doesn't need elaborate stories or forged letters. It lives in the simple moments, the quiet memories, the love that cannot be invented or erased. Diana had tried to rewrite our story, but in the end she'd only made it stronger. Because real family isn't about who tells the best story, it's about who lives it with you every single day.